Hello and welcome back to the Gills Fancast. You join me for a very special podcast as we welcome a former player, former manager and all-round legend, Mr. Gillingham, Andy Hessenthaler. Andy, thank you very much for joining us.
No worries. Looking forward to it.
It's only right that we start at the beginning of your footballing career. You started your career in non-league, didn't you, with Corinthian?
That's right, yeah.
But you had the opportunity to join Charlton for a year in the youth team, is that right?
Yeah, what I did, I was playing for Corinthians at the time, and then had an opportunity to go and play for Charlton on a non-contract. So I was working for the building on the building as a plasterer at the time. So I took a year out, to be honest, of doing that, just to have a crack at trying to become a professional. So yeah, that's what I did. I went another year. I played in the youth team in the reserves. I really enjoyed it, but unfortunately, at the end of the year I had, I didn't get off the contract. So, which was a bit, obviously I was a little bit disappointed, but to be fair, at the time, Lenny Lawrence was the manager of the first team, and I actually probably felt that at that stage I probably wasn't ready to be, or perhaps good enough to be at that level. So I ended up going back to Corinthians and going back onto the building site and carried on doing plastering.
Yeah, I mean, I've got written down here, like, after your stint with Charlton, you went back to Corinthian, didn't you? And you still worked as a plasterer. Do you think that your time with Charlton and working in the trade as a plasterer spurred you on to make it professional in the end?
Yeah, I think that opportunity made me more determined. I think because of the rejection of not getting an opportunity to become a professional, it was something I wanted to do, and so I never gave up on that dream, as they say. And so I went back to, as you say, to Corinthians, went back onto the building site, carried on my day job, but sort of still believe that one day, if I work hard enough, then the dream will come true. And fortunately, it did in the end.
Of course. Skipping forward 2 years, you went on to join Dartford from Corinthian. You linked up with Peter Taylor for the first time in your career. He obviously played a big part in your footballing world. How did that move come about for you?
Yeah, I mean, I remember playing for Corinthians in a cup game. Not sure what cup game it was, or what cup it was, sorry. And Pete was playing, I was playing for Corinthians, and I must have done something pretty well that night, because I actually can't remember what the result was, to be honest, but I got a phone call pretty much the next day from the secretary at Dartford, and asked me would I be interested in coming to play for Dartford, and that's how it came about, really. So Pete was playing and managing Dartford at the time, and I got the call, and and the thing is, at that stage, playing for Corinthians, I really enjoyed it. It was good.
Yep.
Some good people there, and Ron Billings was obviously the owner, who's passed away now, but Ron was the daddy, as I say, and they never paid their players at the time, and which wasn't an issue because I was working for them as well, but it was an opportunity really for football in terms of stepping up a level for me, and I wanted to do that. So I went and spoke to Corinthians, and they were excellent for me. They basically said, look, you want to go and bet yourself, we get that, go and do it. And I thought it would have jeopardised my job because I worked for them as well. I did a lot of work for them as a plasterer, so I thought that was going to jeopardise it. It never did, and I went and played for Dartford, and formed a really, as you say, good relationship with Peter Taylor.
Obviously, as you say, Corinthians are a club with huge history. I think known as Corinthian Casuals now, and as you say, they've never paid their players. That's just tradition for them. And obviously, Dartford was the first time in your career you'd been earning money through football.
Yeah, I mean, Dartford were paying at that stage. Like I said, it was a step up in football. It wasn't about the money for me. The money at that stage was minimal. Even at Dartford, as my main money was coming in from my day job. And but again, I go back to, it wasn't money. It was about stepping up, having an opportunity. Because of that rejection at Charlton, it was always going to be, I'm going to step up a level now, and this could put me in the shop window type of thing. And that was the reason why. The main reason why I went to do it. It was about football, and I wanted to better myself.
And of course, you did. You spent obviously a few good years at Dartford, but eventually you and Peter Taylor briefly went your separate ways in 1990, as he went on to join Enfield and you moved on to Redbridge, where you won the Isthmian League. But the next season, at the ripe age of 26, you finally made your way into professional football with Watford.
Yeah, it was funny because leaving Pete was a strange thing because we sort of, as I say, got a great relationship, and he sort of put me on the map a little bit and gave me the opportunity. And then he had the opportunity to leave Dartford and go to Enfield, and he wanted me to go with him. But again, you know, in footballing terms, there wasn't a lot of difference. Well, there wasn't a lot of difference in terms of the leagues, and I just felt at that stage the travelling because of my work would make it awkward for me and harder. And at that stage, I had an opportunity to go to, as you say, Redbridge Forest. At that time, they were called Redbridge Forest.
Yeah.
They changed their names over the years. I think it was Walthamstow, and I think, as I say, they changed their names a few times. And then now, actually, as we speak, they're back as Dagenham and Redbridge, aren't they? So
yeah.
I went to Redbridge Forest, and that's where I felt. Well, that's where I formed a relationship with obviously John Steele at that stage. So so I made that jump to Dagenham, and so to say, parted our ways with Pete, but always kept in contact with him. And went out a good time at Redbridge Forest, and as you say, we won the Isthmian League.
Yeah, and obviously that did put you in the shop window, as you said before, because you had that season without Pete, and then linked back up with him at Watford, where he was assistant manager, didn't you?
Yeah, it's strange. You just got a phone call out of the blue. I've been playing quite well at Redbridge, as I got promotion, and we just got promotion to the National League as it is now. You know, I remember I think I only played about 3 or 4 games. I'm not sure how many games exactly I played in that league, but I played, you know, early part of the season, and then got a call from Peter to say, look, you know, I know you've always wanted to do it, and I believe you can do it. You can definitely become a pro, and you can definitely make the step up. And do you want to do it? And to be fair, it didn't take me. I pretty much said yes on the phone.
Yeah.
Because I knew at 26 was, you know, obviously quite an older age in terms of turning professional, but I was just had an established job, you know, self-employed, and I knew that if it didn't work out, and I could always go back to the building trade. So I had that behind me. I had a career in terms of on the building behind me. I knew there was no real risk to it. So, but at the end of the day, I just wanted to go and try myself at that level, and you know, and I did it. I spoke to John Steele. Watford made an approach, and they done a deal. I think the deal was, I think it was £85,000 at the time, and my dream come true. Really, I had the opportunity to go and pit my wits at the top level.
Yeah, obviously, as you said, you were plying your trade in what was now the National League, and to move to such a big club like Watford, and obviously your first in professional football, like how did that make you feel in terms of packing up the day job and going straight to play in that league and throwing yourself right in at the deep end?
Yeah, I was excited, you know, nervous but excited, because, you know, I've come out of non-league. A lot of the players that were at Watford, you know, hadn't had the sort of upbringing that I had. They'd come through the system, through the young clubs, and they, you know, they'd been in the game a long time, and so it was somebody coming out of non-league, and you had to go and basically show people that you were good enough to be at this level, and there's always question marks because it's a step up, and but you know, because I was so determined to show people that I am good enough to be at this level, you know, it was. I was very, very excited and determined to prove people that, and also to do it for Peter Taylor, because he put a lot of faith in me.
Yeah.
So he took a risk. He told Steve Perriman at the time, "I promise you, this lad can do it. He even though he's 26, he can definitely step up." And and that was made me more determined to do it for Pete, because he put his neck on the line for me.
So Peter played a huge role in that transfer for you then?
Yes, he did, yeah. He pushed and pushed. I think he'd been pushing for a few years, and there have been a few clubs. Before I went to Watford, Ipswich were looking. I spoke to the chief scout at Ipswich. They were very close.
Yep.
There was a couple of other clubs at the time were humming and ahhing whether to do it or not. I think Mayston were in the league at the time as well.
Yeah.
Mayston and Keith Peacock, they were humming and ahhing, and no one. But I think it was persistence of. If it hadn't been for the beat and his persistence with Steve and his relationship with Steve, I perhaps don't think it would have happened. But it's where you need that little bit of luck, but you have to earn that. And but Pete was, as you say, he was the main person to put trust into me.
I just say, like, you had to go to Watford and earn your stripes, and you certainly did, because you spent 5 years there, and you played alongside some huge names such as Luther Blissett, and of course played under big names, Glenn Roeder, obviously formerly of Gillingham, and Graham Taylor also. How would you sum up your time with the Hornets?
Oh, I loved it. It was fantastic. When I left, it was a tough day leaving, really, and we'll get on to that story a little bit later on. But yeah, it was. I remember turning up, and the first day I knew Steve Butler quite well anyway, so Steve was there. So we played with Gills as well, Steve. And so I'd known Steve fairly well. But the likes of Peter Nicholas, Trevor Putney, to walk into that dressing room at the time, and they're big characters and done a lot in their careers. Trevor Putney played with Ipswich, Norwich, Middlesbrough, had some clubs. Peter Nicholas, like captain his country, so big characters. And I was, I was coming out non-league, and it was a case of can I settle in, and they made it so much easier for me, them guys, and I still speak to Trevor now. Trevor Putney's become a real good friend of mine, and we were roommates, and he made the transition of coming out non-league into the league. It's so much easier when you've got players like that. So, it was. I remember my first game. I went to Brom at the Goldstone Ground. At that stage, I wasn't in the squad, but I was there to sort of understand how it works, and travel with the boys, get used to the boys, and we won 1-0. I remember Steve Butler scoring, and then the next game was on Tuesday night away at Everton, and I thought I had no chance of being involved, and I actually started the game. Everton away in the League Cup, and I played right back. I'm not a right back, but he said, "Look, I want you to play right back." I said, "Yeah, I'll play there, no problem." So at Goodison Park, I'm not sure how many people were there, I can't remember, but it was a full house, and Kevin Sheedy was playing left wing, and Peter Beardsley was playing, people like that, and you're thinking, blimey, this is it, I'm on the stage now, I've got to perform. And it was a tough night because we lost the game, but what an experience. And then we had to play them at our place, in the second leg, and they beat us. They went through comfy over the bigger club, but that was the start of it all, really. And then on the Saturday after the Tuesday game against Everton, we played Charlton at home.
Yep.
And I made my home debut. I played in midfield, and fortunately I scored on my home debut, 1-2-0. Steve Butt scored one, and I scored the other one. So, I settled in really quickly. And when you make that sort of statement and you perform that way, you just got to get the fans behind you. I'm sure the fans were looking at me thinking, he's 26 years old, but come out of non-league, is he going to be good enough? And fortunately that I showed them that I'm part of this team, and they were excellent with the fans. I got on so well with them, and but I think it was just because you just got to perform on the pitch, and they take to you, and they take to me pretty much straight away that day after scoring on my debut.
Quite ironic that obviously you made your home debut against Charlton and obviously got on the score sheet. They must have been looking at you thinking, what if?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and as you say, the story goes on with that one because Obviously, that as you said, being playing against Charlton who released me, you almost sort of stick your shoulders out and go, look, you made the wrong decision. And that's happened a lot in football over the years, I'm sure, where players have been released just through opinion or finances or whatever. And that was the case with me, to score against them was phenomenal. But I remember playing Middlesbrough away, and Lenny Lawrence was actually, he'd left Charlton and he was a Middlesbrough manager. And we went to Ayresome Park, the old ground, and won the game. I think 1-0. And he come up to me after the game, Lenny Lawrence. He said, "You was that lad I released at Charlton, wasn't it?" And I went, "Yeah, it was." And with a big smile on my face, and he just patted me on the head like to say, I think he pretty much said, "Look, I got it wrong, but well done, you proved me wrong," type of thing.
Yeah, that must have been obviously a brilliant moment for you to get that recognition off of him. Yeah,
because he's top manager and he's still in the game now, working down at Newport County with Flinney. So Lenny was well thought of as a manager and a coach. So, but you don't always get it right as a manager, and I know that myself. You can't get every player right. Every player's out there. If you do release them, they tend to come back and bite you on the backside, and that happens a lot in football.
In your final season at Watford, you were relegated from the First Division, which obviously opened the door for you to make your way to the Gills for the first time in your career. One, how did that transfer come about? And two, were you surprised at the £235,000 fee we paid?
Yeah, at the time, it was a strange affair because I didn't really want to leave Watford. And I remember having a conversation because that year we went down, Graham Taylor came back to the club and tried to save us. And unfortunately, it didn't work out. I'd been captain for I'd been there a year, and then I was made captain when Glenn Roeder came in and sort of kept the captaincy. And you tend to, in football, most players know what other players are earning at the time. And I sort of came into the club, and when I signed for Watford, I took a pay cut from what I was actually doing, earning money playing football and my job. But again, the money wasn't an issue. It was about going to play football and doing something that I've dreamt about doing. So the money wasn't an issue. So I took a wage cut. But then you earn your stripes, and I felt I'd done that, became captain, and then they offered me a new deal. I sat down, wanted to speak to me about a new deal, and I remember having a conversation with Graham Taylor. Obviously, again, he's a well thought of manager and been the England manager, and so I remember sitting at the table. I did have an agent at the time, but not one that was always around. I used him to call and a bit of advice type of thing. I remember having a conversation with Graham, and he gave me a piece of paper and said, "Look, have a look at this. This is what we want to offer you. Take it away, speak to your wife, speak to your agent." He slid it across the table, believe it or not. And I looked at it straight away, and I slid it back to him. I said, I basically wasn't accepting their offer at that time, because I just felt that at that time the offer that they made me was, I thought it was a bit unfair, and so I felt it was probably a little bit hasty. Perhaps we should have bided my time a bit more. But I can look back at that and say maybe that was. I haven't got any regrets, but maybe I was at the time a little bit hasty in terms of rejecting the offer and then think about moving on. But because I had Gillingham phoning me, I also had Charlton at the time when Steve Gritt and Alan Kirbysh, who were joint managers. They made contact with me, and Keith Peacock was then working for the Charlton as well.
Yep.
And they was really interested, and it looked like I was going to Charlton. But the problem with the Charlton ones, they wasn't prepared to wait to pay a fee if it went to, because it was going to go to tribunal like it did.
Yeah.
They was a bit nervous of paying a fee for a 30-year-old, because obviously the Boston ruling wasn't in at that stage. So in the end, I had a phone call from Lindsay Parsons, who was Tony's assistant, Tony Pulis, Gillingham's assistant, and he said, "Would you come and meet us?" And I went and met them, and they pretty much sold it to me, really. Tony's vision and obviously where he wanted to take the club. And I met Paul Scully, and we done a deal, but the deal wasn't done until it was, obviously went through the tribunal. So I went off to Gillingham. I did pre-season with Gillingham, but I was actually still a Watford player until it was settled at tribunal. So it was a funny story, really, because I did all of pre-season. I remember going to university in Cheltenham. I think we was training there for a week.
Yeah.
With Gillingham and all the boys. And then the tribunal was the end of that week. So I went to the tribunal with Tony, assistant manager, myself. Paul Scully didn't come. And Sam Allardyce was he was actually doing the tribunal. So they have a footballer on there, or ex-manager or whatever, to help to set the tribunal. And he was on it, and that's what they set it at. They set it at 235,000. I remember getting back in the car, Tony phoning Paul Scully and telling him, and Paul Scully said, "You better tell Andy to go back to Watford. You can't pay that."
Wow.
So I was going back to Watford. So I had it was a strange affair, because walking back into Watford after doing all of pre-season with Gillingham was always going to be difficult. But at the end of the day, they wouldn't pay the tribunal money, and so I was still a Watford player. But within a couple of days, to be fair to Paul, they found the money, or he found the money, and the deal was done. So, at one stage, I didn't think it was going to happen.
And obviously, all these years later, you look back at that with fondness, but at the time, that would have been obviously quite a nerve-wracking thing for you, because you wanted that move at that stage.
Yeah, I think because I just felt that the way that the contract business was dealt with at Watford, I just didn't feel I was wanted enough there. So and Gillingham wanted me. They wanted me to come and play for them. Another thing was, obviously, I come from Kent. I was a Gray's End lad, and it was on my doorstep. So it was a great opportunity to play for the Kent club, and fortunately it went through, and we went on to have some great times at Gills.
Similarly to you said this about the Watford fans as well, and I've written down here that it's fair to say that Gillingham fans fell in love with you quite quickly. What makes you think that the fans take to you so quickly?
I just think they want value for money, fans, don't they? I think that's what they want. And I felt as if, as a player, I wasn't the most gifted player in terms of technically gifted, but what I was a heart on my sleeve, and I knew once I crossed that white line, I was going to give everything to try and win a game of football for the club. And I think that's how fans see it. And I think yes, you've got to have a mix. You can't have 11 players that do the same thing. You've got to have the flair players, the goal scorers. I just think I was pretty much of an all-rounder, really. Perhaps didn't score enough goals in my career, but pretty much box-to-box midfield player that would give everything to the end. And I think any normal fan in football nowadays, you see a player doing that week in, week out, then they're easy players to support, aren't they? Because they knew every game what they was going to get when I crossed that white line. And yes, I might have an off day sometimes with the football, but the one thing I wouldn't have an off day is that grit, determination, and will and desire to give everything for the shirt. And I think that's how I made a career out of the game, really, just through that, really.
And in fairness, I don't think it's something we see enough of in nowadays football.
No, I think you're right. I think it's consistency. Obviously working and still in football now. There's too much. Sometimes players are too inconsistent, and you've got to be consistent. You've got to be consistent, and like you just said there, it's a given, really. Once you cross that white line, you've got to go and run around. You've got to go and work hard for 90 plus minutes, and some players don't do that. Some players just rely on certain things in the game that's gonna be enough, but that isn't always enough. And I think you don't see it as much in football. You don't see And I mean, you see the Roy Keanes of this world and people like that, and you know, the David Beckhams. There's good players around, but you know, there's so much money in the game. And that's where the game's changed, I think, now, because sometimes I think the game's pass players by, and it doesn't hurt them enough. That's in my opinion.
I think that's why you look at sides like Sheffield United in the Premier League this season. I think that's why they have been so good, and they are where they are in the table because of that grit and determination that Chris Wilder has set them under.
Yeah, and I think he's got to take a lot of credit for that, the manager, because he's been brought up like that. He's been brought up like that as a player himself, Chris. I know Chris quite well, you know, over the years, and spoken to him, and you know, he's a good guy, and he's done phenomenal. And I think what his values are and what he's brought up from where he played, he's put that into a group of players in the Premier League, and it's almost a little bit like the Gillingham side that we had, you know.
Yeah.
In terms of we had no flair players, we had no standout players. We had a group of players that worked so hard together on the pitch, but off the pitch as well. And knowing Sheffield United as I do, and because I know John Egan quite well, and he's good friends with my son Jake.
Of course.
They're good friends, and John. I've spoken to John a few times. He said, "Chris is brilliant." You know, we've got a group of players that are so much together when they cross that white line, but they're also together as a family off the pitch as well. And I think they've got so many British players. They've got a few more foreign players now, but mainly British-based players. And you know, I think if you look at the Premier League as a whole, there's so many, you know, European players. Whereas I think they're a real British bunch of players pulling for everybody. And you know, I can see that in his team, and I can see that in, you know, our team that we had at Gills. You know, when we did so well over the years, staying in the Championship.
Obviously, talking of Chris Wilder, talking of good managers, you of course played under Tony Pulis at Gillingham. What was it like to play under such a good manager?
Yeah, Tony was very meticulous of what he did, very organised. You know, we knew what we was doing every day in training. We knew what was coming. Yes, you know, and I think I'll probably speak for most of the players. Sometimes it was the same thing every day, day in, day out, and it became a little bit boring. But the one thing you knew is that come the weekend, you knew what he was doing, and you know, I think that was what he's good at. You know, it was so well explained what he wanted from his team and from his players, and that's how he was, and that's why he's had such a good career in management himself. And you know, everybody wanted to play for him, you know, yes, we had our moments where we thought you can fall out with Tony, but he wouldn't hold it against you. You know, he wanted to win football matches, and you know, like I say, his coaching style was you know, there's no excuses there, because everybody knew what I was doing as a group and as an individual.
In your second season, obviously, with the Gills, we lost one of our star men in Andy Hessenthaler, but we did replace him with Bob Taylor and also Carlos Arbo, who formed a formidable partnership up front. Did that season have a special feeling to it? Because obviously we ended up reaching Wembley.
Yeah, you know, it did actually, because you know, just getting to, because we were the underdogs anyway. But you know, the replacement of losing Andy and then Bob coming in and Carl. I mean, and that's where I felt Tony his management skills was excellent, because Bob came in. You know, he came in to score the goals. And I remember at the start, he found it difficult to settle, and there was games where he didn't do enough. He's perhaps a little bit overweight, Bob, and you know, didn't see him enough in games. And but you know, there was games where Tony would give Bob man of the match. The manager used to pick man of the match, so he used to give it to Bob, and I think everybody was looking at each other, and I think some of the fans look at, as he got man of the match, you know. What he did, he just kept getting Bob's confidence up and making sure Bob would, you know, he would definitely perform and start scoring goals. And to be fair, you know, pretty much the rest is history. He scored so many goals and forming a great partnership with Thabs. But it was clever management from Tony, brought him in, and he could have easily left him out, but he didn't. He stuck with him, he kept working with him. and we got our rewards by that, and it turned out to be a great season, but with a sad ending, really, didn't it?
Of course, the Bob Taylor situation is one of those that in this day and age, would a manager really stick with a striker that isn't firing on all cylinders straight away because of the impatience of football and obviously social media coming with that, and obviously he would have got a lot of stick at that time. But he went on to be a club legend.
Yeah, he did. You're right. I think he did get a bit of stick at the time from them when there was social media then, but not to the degree there is now. And I think it might have been difficult if he had been playing now, as you say, because of that pressure. You're there to score goals, but it depends who the manager is, I suppose. If you're someone like Tony, who's stuck by his players, he signed him and persevered with him, and it came good in the end. So, but you're right. Some managers would have had as much trust or run out of patience with the player and ended up leaving him out if it was sort of at this time in football,
As you said, that was a special season. We ended up finishing fourth, smashing Burnley 5-0 and Stoke 4 along the way. We had Preston in the playoff semi-finals, beat them 2-1 overall. And you scored the winning goal to take us and obviously yourself to Wembley for the first ever time. Talk me through those feelings and emotions.
It was phenomenal. It was always going to be a tough place to go up there, go to Preston first, them in the first leg at their place. And, we had to lost the game 2-1, didn't we? So we had the away goal.
Yep.
We knew it was going to be tough at Preston. But, we knew that if we could stay in the game, no one, even that whole season, no one really wanted to come to Gillingham because it was a tough place to come. And it was a fortress, really. It was always going to be difficult. So we knew we were still in the game, and that away goal was important to us. And I just remembered, scoring the goal. It was so early in the game, wasn't it? And we was hanging on. To be fair to Preston, they put a lot of pressure on us, but we defended for our lives. The atmosphere was phenomenal, and we got through. It was an emotional night, to be honest. And I remember being interviewed afterwards, full of tears. I mean, two young kids with me as well, and it was, it was a dream come true. That another dream. I didn't think I'd ever have an opportunity to play at the home of football, Wembley. And to get an opportunity to come to play there was a massive highlight or biggest highlight of my career.
Obviously, following your goal to take us to Wembley, the stage was set. You led the side out as skipper, as you had done all season, but this time at a packed Wembley. Talk me through that day. Obviously, a lot of people fancied the City to just steamroll Gillingham.
Yeah, obviously we're massive underdogs. The build-up to it was fantastic. The week leading up to the game I never known anything like it. The amount of press we had. Obviously, a week before we'd all gone to get our suits for the game, and it was just so much on the game, and it was all talked about Man City really. As much as we had our press, I think they had more press, but because they're a massive club, and Gillingham, it's little old Gillingham. There's no chance really. The game's over. We can't beat Man City. No chance. And but again, the group of players we had and the determination we had as a group of people, that we're not just going to go out on that pitch and just make up the numbers. And I remember coming out of the tunnel and just seeing when we come out to look at the pitch, sort of an hour before kick-off or a little bit earlier than that, and the fans were already in the stadium, like the Gills fans. It was phenomenal. It just sort of, it was goosebumps and hair on the back of your neck type of thing as you walked out, the noise, and then actually walking out, captaining the team, and the fireworks going off it was unbelievable. It was, I think it took you back to them days, the day of being released from Charlton, thinking, this is what it's brought me, all that hard work's brought me the opportunity to play at Wembley in a final and against Man City.
The partnership we spoke about earlier of obviously Carlos Arbor and Bob, they both put us 2-0 up.
Yeah.
In that situation, did you honestly think in your mind there was any way that it wasn't going to be Gillingham going up those steps at Wembley to collect the trophy?
Yeah, I agree. I thought we won the game. Yeah, I think like most people did. If I said, I thought, we're not there yet, type thing, yeah, that might go through your mind, we're not there yet, but I think people would be lying if they didn't say they thought they'd won it. Yeah, I thought we'd won it. And unfortunately, we hadn't won it. To be fair, Tony made some decisions. We took off the two boys up top in the end and to see the game out, and we dropped off too deep, and we give them the opportunities. And unfortunately for us, then there was a lot of time found on the referee's watch, where there was a lot of talk about afterwards, where did he get the time from, type of thing. But we should have, at 2-0, we should have seen the game out, and unfortunately we didn't. And they came back, got the goals, Kevin Orlett and Paul Dickoff, and then they went to extra time, which that was pretty much a non-event, the extra time, because of they were out on their feet, and we was just so I think deflated in terms of letting a 2-0 lead go, and within minutes left of the final whistle, and you probably should have could have easily gone straight to penalties, and then obviously the penalty shootout. Well, that was tough. That was tough to be involved in that, and I didn't take a penalty, but just to see us get knocked out or lose the final on penalty after we put so much into it was heartbreaking.
Obviously, it's one of those games as well, because of the drama of it. It is a playoff classic, unfortunately, and it's one of those you see it on your telly every year. And I bet it's one of those you're sitting there on the sofa flicking through the sports channels, and all of a sudden you're reminded of it all over again, aren't you?
Yeah, you're right. You see it quite a bit, don't you? Because it was a classic, and which, like I say, at the time, they showed you the clips of the Man City fans leaving the stadium, and the story of Noel Gallagher leaving. There was a massive Man City fan, and he actually left, and people running back when they heard one of the goals go in. And so yeah, that was a classic. It'll always be on there, like most of the classics are. They're always already rerun, so they rerun them pretty much every year, as you say. So listen, I suppose in a way it's nice to be part of that classic, but obviously on the wrong end of that one, you know. So. But we got over it. You get over it. It takes a bit of time, and and you can be proud of what you achieved that year, really.
We will move swiftly on, because the next year was the year we want to talk about, obviously.
Yeah.
Tony was sacked 5 weeks after the final.
Yeah.
And your old friend Peter Taylor was appointed as manager.
Yeah, it was amazing, really, how it came about. I mean, obviously Tony went, and then to be fair, Steve Butler and myself had a conversation with the chairman, because we were the senior players of the team, really, and the chairman pretty much asked me to become the manager with Steve as my assistant that year.
Yeah.
But I at that time, I got a call from him. We went and met him. I spoke to Steve about it, and I just felt that I wasn't ready to be the manager at that stage. I felt as if I was still contributing quite a lot as a player. I still felt fit. Is it something I want to do in the future? Yes, coaching, managing. I'd like to get into that. And I obviously still kept in contact with Peter, and he just got the sack, actually, the England job, under-21 job by Howard Wilkinson. And there was a little bit of uproar because he'd done such a fantastic job as the England under-21 manager. And but he was out at work, and I remember he's in Cyprus on holiday. And before I called him, I spoke to Paul Scully. He said, "Look, I don't think I'm ready yet. I think I need a bit more time. I need to get into that coaching scenario, management scenario with perhaps somebody to learn off of, type of thing." And I said, "Peter Taylor's out of work," to Paul Scully. I mean, Paul knew anyway he was out of work. I said, what's your thoughts? And Paul said, well, give him a call, see what he's doing. So pretty much I got straight on the phone to Pete. I didn't know he was in Cyprus, but I phoned him. It was a foreign ringtone. He was on holiday and said, listen, I've been offered the Gills job, but I'm not ready to do it. But I've put your name forward. Would you be interested? And he went, 100%. Give me Paul's number.
Oh,
so
yeah,
he got Paul's number, and they spoke. And I remember being at home, and I think it was about 1:30 in the morning. I got a call and said to my missus, who's this time? And it was the gaffer, it was Peter Taylor, and he said, listen, I've done a deal with Paul. I'm going to be the new manager, and I want you and Steve Butler to be players still, but get onto the coaching side of it as well. So doing a bit of both. Are you up for that? And I went, yeah, of course. And yeah, I'm 100%. I'm up for it, and that's how it came about, really. I remember that, as I say, that 1:30 in the morning call woke me up, and he said he's got the job, and you're going to carry on playing, but I'll introduce you to parts of the coaching, you and Steve, and we'll go from there. And that's what happened.
So it was an absolute roller coaster of a time for you. Obviously, you've gone through the City game. 5 weeks later, Tony's sacked, and then you're offered the Gills job. You turn it down. You put forward your friend Peter and return the favour of what he'd done for you throughout the years. And then you're offered a coaching role as well as that. So
it was a whirlwind. And what you just said there, Pete always brings it up. It's because a lot of articles I've done over the years, I mentioned Pete obviously being a big part of my footballing life. And he actually is good like that. He actually says, well, you returned the favour, didn't you? And he mentions that. But I didn't do it because of what he did, but I did it because I know he's a fantastic guy, a good manager, good coach. And I just thought he'd be right for the football club. And, and what he did do, was able to do, he inherited a very good bunch of players. And that's what I said to him. Listen, you haven't got to do too much here, by the way. You put your own stamp on it, but there's a good group here that will work really hard for you. And, we believe that we can achieve something, even though we had the knockback against Man City. We can definitely achieve something. If, by adding a few other players, then we can do it, So, but he does mention that about about me, and tells the story really. So, it's nice, and it's nice to get back with that relationship again, because he's, like I say, I got on really well with him.
Obviously, after everything had calmed down and the whirlwind was over and everything was settled, was there a sense of, among obviously you and Peter and obviously Paul Scally, was there a sense of, okay, this season we have to go up now after last season?
Yeah, I think for us was we got so close and really should have gone through that year after being 2-0 up, but we didn't. And a lot of teams that fail traditionally fail in the playoffs end up struggling the year after.
Yeah.
And that was always in the back of our mind that could happen. But like I said, I think, and people say that he inherited a good squad of players there. There wasn't many that left. There was, a good group that come so close against Man City. It just needed tinkering. We had that real belief, and we had that a real hunger to put right what went wrong the year before, and you could just feel that in the group that we can do this. We can get back to. We can either get outright promotion, or we can have to go through the playoffs again. And it turned out, that being the case.
Obviously, you said the last season where we went on to face City at Wembley, and obviously we lost. You said that season felt really special. Was there any difference between that season and this season during the course of it, where you thought, okay, this year is the year we are actually going to do it?
Not really. I remember we had to go to Wrexham. I think it was Wrexham away. I mean, if we won at Wrexham, I think we could have got outright promotion, and we lost. Yeah. I think that was the case.
It was an absolute screamer from them as well.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I just think it felt pretty much the same. It's because of the way the players were with each other on the pitch and off the pitch. It felt that we could, just we can be up there again, because everybody sort of wrote us off at the start of the season because of this tradition of struggling. I always believed that we could do. I didn't think that we'd end up doing it the way we did, or getting the playoff again to Wembley. I didn't think that would happen again. I thought we could get definitely outright promotion. You know, not having to go through that playoff. The playoff. So, but I suppose for the chairman, it's the best way to go, isn't it? Financially.
Of course.
So for 2 years on the spin, we've ended up getting through to Wembley, and this time we've actually won the game. So, but yeah, no, it felt pretty much the same. It was with a different manager, but it was the same set of players, pretty much the same set of players, you know. So, you know, it was a real drive to perhaps put what went wrong the year before to put it right this year, you know, the year after.
Like you touched on, we finished in third, and we did have the chance to seal an automatic spot on the last day away to Wrexham. After, obviously, it was full time, we'd lost. And you know we're in the playoffs again. Were you and the other boys sitting there thinking, oh God, here we go again?
Here we go again. Yeah, I think so. I think I did. Here we go again. It's going to be tough. We've got to get through the playoffs again now, and then you've got to get to Wembley, and then you've got to try and win at Wembley, and you're thinking, blimey, could we do it again? Yeah, of course we could, but, you know, it's going to be difficult. Like I say, we knew that we still had an opportunity. As much as I think we were really deflated, because I think deep down everybody thought we could definitely get outright promotion. So for that not to happen, it felt a little bit like we failed a little bit, because I remember after the game, it was, you know, that Wrexham game was so, the coach and going back, and the boys were so down about it, because I think we all wanted to put it to bed, because obviously the season continues for a few more weeks. You've got to play the playoffs, and you know, I think a lot of the players are telling you now that they want to get outright promotion and then get away on holiday a bit quicker. So I think it's a case that we've now got to carry on training and prepare for the playoffs again. So, but yeah, listen, we knew, I suppose, what we had in our favour. We'd been there before, and we knew what to expect, and we knew what we had to do.
This time it was Stoke in the semi-finals. We lost the first leg 3-2, but you scored one of the best solo long-range goals, I think, in Gillingham history, in the last minute to give us hope going into the second leg. Is that the best goal you think you've ever scored?
Yeah, best goal I've scored, 100%, and the most important goal without a shadow of a doubt. I know the Preston goal was important, that got us to, but this one was, you know, being at Stoke away and the position we were in, you know, 3-1 down at the time, and you know, you're thinking, blimey, we're going to struggle now. You know, 3-1 to them, and yeah, I mean, you could win 2-0 at our place. Yeah, of course you could, but you know, to be 3-2 and only, you know, say 2 away goals because they counted again, and it gave us a massive chance. And to be fair, I remember it was one of those. I knew the clock was ticking, and it was a case of, I think I remember Steve Butler saying, "Pass it to me." I think he was, or get it in the box. I can't remember exactly, but I had one thing in mind. To be fair, as soon as I got it and it came inside, just have a shot, just have a go. You never know. Try your luck. To be fair, if you see the goal, it bobbles up a little bit. It actually does me a favour, because if it had been just flat along the floor, I probably would have been out of reach from that distance. But it popped up nicely, and it went in like a rocket. So I think they was a bit disappointed. The manager was very disappointed about, again, going back to the referee, the time added on, and but we weren't worried about that. We knew that second goal is, you know, is almost like winning the game type of thing, because, you know, 2 goals away from home means we've only got to go back to our place and win 1-0 again. And talking to my family and then leaving the stadium at Stoke, because all my family there, my brothers, and I was walking back, and he said he never got kissed so much by Gills fans on the way home. He said they jumping on top of him, your brother, legend, stuff like that. He said it was unbelievable, and you know, my family, you know, they was all there, and you know, so it was, it was a probably one of the best, again, and one of my best footballing highlights, I've got to say, that day at Stoke.
We obviously did win the second leg, but it took extra time. Wembley, again, this time Wigan. Did it feel any different at all to the last year's semi-final win?
I think it was a little bit. There was a bit more. I felt there was a bit more pressure on us this time. I know. Again, Wigan, big club. I just felt because the year before there was no pressure on us at all because it was Man City. I think, and I think we brought our own pressure to the group because we hadn't fulfilled outright promotion, automatic promotion. We've now gone back to Wembley. And that added a bit of pressure that, listen, it can't happen again. Surely we can't lose two years in a row at Wembley. So I think there was a bit, and I think that was in the performance a bit. We wasn't brilliant, I didn't think, in the game, up until we dug in at the death. But I don't think we was excellent in the game, and we got a little bit of luck that we needed with the sending off. But I felt there was a little bit more pressure, and I think that showed a little bit in our performance.
Yet again at Wembley, had to be done the hard way. Same old Gillingham. Extra time it was, and Andy Thompson's goal fired us to the First Division. Did you ever think you would ever get to right the wrongs of Wembley and actually do it at the stadium again?
No, I never thought. I didn't think we could do it. Really deep down again at Wembley. I thought we could get promotion, but having to go and do it through that way again, I didn't think we could do it. But I think, like I said, on the day we got a little bit of the rub of the green with the sending off. That helped. And then, Tomo, I remember I could see the goal now, the cross from Junior, and I can see Tomo scoring. So it was unbelievable to be able to come through again extra time, and but this time not having to go to penalties was and actually put right what was wrong the year before. Was a phenomenal feeling, and I'm just pleased that I was part of that.
Obviously, that season was famous for not only the promotion but the cup run in the FA Cup.
Yeah.
Reached the quarter-finals, was it?
It was final, yeah. But, it was a good year. We had a great run in the FA Cup, and
still our best run as well.
Yeah, I think again it goes back to the group. No, but I remember when we played not Sheffield Wednesday out, and and Bradford. And, it was like the big clubs that come to Gillingham. They didn't want to come. Part of the stadium was being built, and the new stand was being built, and there was a lot of building work going. It wasn't a particularly pretty place to come and play. No one really wanted to come, and I remember the Sheffield Wednesday game when we come out of the porter cabins to come out onto the pitch because of a new stand being built, and I looked into the Sheffield Wednesday players' eyes. I think we all did, and you could see that they were nervous and perhaps didn't fancy it, type of thing. And we had a group of players here that were determined to cause a shock, and it turned out that way, And again, it was just the group that we had there, The big boys are coming into town, and we're not worried about them, type of thing. And we went through, and as you say, we played Chelsea away at Stamford Bridge. Another great feeling of playing a top stadium against top players, World Cup players, and we lost 5-0, but I think it was 1-0 at half time. We was doing okay, and then they pushed. Obviously come out second half, and they won comfortably. But another great achievement for Gills to get to the quarter final of the FA Cup. But nobody would have thought about that either. So it was a great year.
Of course, you mentioned the Sheffield Wednesday game. I don't envy whoever it was that had to pick the goal of the season for that campaign, because obviously you had yours at Stoke. Nicky's against Sheffield Wednesday was an unbelievable goal.
Great goal, wasn't it? Yeah, I can see that one now as well. He still shows me that when he can as well.
I bet he does.
I don't show him mine, but he tends to show that Sheffield Wednesday one. But it was some good goals, wasn't it? And to be fair to Trigger, he pretty much says mine's the better goal. I think, you know why? Because I think Nicky scored a lot of goals in his career, very good goals. I didn't get many, so I think he was being kind to me and give it to me that year. The Stoke goal was the best goal, but his was a cracker as well, as you say. But he has scored. I've looked at quite a few goals over his career. He scored some good goals, so I think he was being nice to me that year and give it to me.
The season after, obviously, Peter Taylor went to Leicester, didn't he?
Yeah.
And you were finally appointed as player manager. What felt right about it this time for you?
I just think that year of experience being alongside Pete, being in his office after training every day and before with Butts as well, you picked up things. I know you pick up things from managers anyway, but actually being in the office alongside him and what he had to do as a manager, what the job entailed, and what you have to do as a manager. It's not just a case of taking training and everything off the pitch you have to deal with as well, and agents and stuff like that. I think I got an insight into that, and it helped. And I just felt perhaps that year was the year really that I can have an opportunity to take over and have a right crack at it, but carry on playing still, because I took advice and spoke to a few people, and they said, look, you're still contributing on the pitch, and all the time you're contributing, then don't give up playing. See if you can do the two jobs, and that's what I did really. I could have gone with Peter Leicester, but I wanted to pick my wits at being a manager of Gillingham, and I was excited by it.
Obviously, another one of those things that you said, the player manager thing isn't obviously something we see a lot of nowadays, and it was something that you were very good at the time, because in your first season you led us to a 13th place finish, and you got a place in the Football League Team of the Year despite a big leg injury that season.
Yeah, no, I had a tough year with an injury, but it was a phenomenal season really, because we were going to be the underdogs because of the size of the club, the budget, stuff like that. It was going to be difficult, but the one thing taking over this group of players, again, I go back to them, was they made it so easy for me. I remember the first team talk I had to do as a manager, and bearing in mind I was all my teammates. I remember getting in the room at the ground. They're all sitting there, they're all waiting in anticipation for my first managerial speech type of thing, and talk to them. And so I've got them all together. There's Adrian Pennock, I think Barry Ashby, Paul Smith, all sitting at the back of the room. And I tried not to look at them, because I knew if I started looking at them, I'd have a problem, because they're such good characters and great lads. But,
of course, yeah.
I started to talk, and I looked up, and they just had grins on their faces, and they just made me laugh so much. I had to go out of the room and just started laughing. I couldn't talk to them, and they all laughed as well. And to be fair, I didn't go back in and do a talk. I think that pretty much summed them up, because from after that, they were absolutely first class. A bunch of players they knew how tough the job was going to be for me, and what it came with being a player and a manager. And they made it so much easier for me. They were first class, and they know I'm an honest person, so I had to make some tough calls in terms of leaving players out games and stuff like that. And when you're playing yourself as well, it's even harder. But they appreciated that, they respected that, and they went along with it, and they believed in it, and they believed in me, which was again. I couldn't thank them enough, really. The time I was player manager, they were first class, the boys.
Your fear, obviously, going into that first team talk was not to give a laugh away or, come across laddish to, obviously, your old teammates. But if anything, do you think that actually happening and you having that giggle with, obviously, your players, if anything helped your cause, and it was, you had their back and they know that they had yours?
Yeah, I knew. Listen, it was always going from being a player to the manager. What do they call me? And that's always going to be a problem to players. They call me SE, German, midget. I've had all sorts over the years. So they call me the boss or the gaffer, whatever they asked me, I said, look, you call me what you want. You call me what you want. If you want to call me SE or a German or whatever you want to call me, you call me what you want. And do you know what? From day one, they called me the gaffer. And that was, again, hats off to them all and respect for them all, because it made me feel good. It felt that they respected me as well. And, from day one, they were brilliant. And like I say, along with Richard Hill, because I brought Richard in because Stevie Butts was with us, and then he went off to Leicester with Pete. So I had to replace Stevie, got Richard in. Rich was brilliant, to be fair. He was, a proper number two, as I say. He was honest. Him and Wayne Jones, because Wayne was still at the club. And, Wayne was a physio, but he was a bit of player, and he well respected as a player, and he'd done his coaching. So them two, I relied on him a lot, to be honest. And I remember there's a couple of games I said, I'm going to leave myself out, and they convinced me not to, because they thought that I was still contributing enough, and they were the tough decisions I had to make. But they were good in that respect. Why are you leaving yourself out? You're still doing the business on the pitch. We need you on there, type of thing.
Yeah.
And that's what you needed from your staff. And Rich was excellent, and Jonah, and they were great to bounce things off of them, and use their experience, because I needed it.
Not only your staff, but you were blessed with so many leaders in that team, which yet again brings back the point of you don't see that a lot nowadays.
No, that's right. On the pitch, like you say, it's so nice to have a group of players that managers will love that. When they cross that white line, you haven't just got one player; you've got quite a few out there that can lead the troops, type of thing. And like you say, you can go through them all. Your Barry Ashby's, your A.E. Pennant, your Guy Butters, your Paul Smiths. Just to name a few there. You're playing with these boys, and Nicky Southall's, and they're going to help you massively on the pitch. And if you're not playing yourself as a manager, you've got 3 or 4 captains out there who will keep pushing the boys along, and that showed, because we held our own, and we got improved on each year, really, in the championship, and in a tough league, which was getting tougher.
Sorry to change the subject quite drastically, but one of my favourite memories of you as a player manager has to be the time you were sent to the stands as the manager. So sent off, one red card, and then you've brought yourself on just despite the referee, and you've been booked despite already receiving a red card.
Yeah, I know. I tell that story quite a lot of people, because it was on. I think it was on Question of Sport on what happened next. He actually got on Question of Sport.
Yeah.
I tell that story quite a bit, and it is a funny story. And funny enough, it was the manager of Cardiff was Lenny Lawrence, wasn't it? So
yeah.
It was a manager again that I knew pretty well. But we was having a tough time at Cardiff. I think we might have been losing 3 or 4-0 at the time. I'm not 100% sure. I know it was quite uncomfortable for us. And I was stuck that day. Things weren't going well, and I'd have an altercation with the linesman, and obviously I was sitting in the dugout, and the ref come across and sent me to the stand. So obviously I had all my kit on. I remember walking down the tunnel at Cardiff to walk off, and next minute I heard some footsteps, and it was my assistant Richard Hill running down. He said, "Gaffer, why don't you just put yourself on now? You just go and sit up there, get out there, get amongst the players,
Oh, so it wasn't even your idea?
No, it wasn't my idea. I mean, to be fair, I didn't think about that. I mean, that sounds all right to me. So I walked back up the tunnel, come out, took my jumper off. I looked to the right, and Lenny Lawrence was laughing his head off. The crowd were all going, "Hang on, what's going on? He's just been sent off." The ref, because ball out playing, we made the sound. Ref sort of having a little bit of he's having a look, thinking, "Hang on a minute," and he's almost like, "What do I do here, really?" And then he couldn't really do anything else, because I'm a player now. You've sent me off as a manager, but I'm a player now. So you haven't sent me off as a player. You sent me off as a manager.
Yeah.
So I ended up going back on, and then within 2 minutes, I got yellow carded. it was unbelievable, really, the scenario and the way it panned out. But yeah, it's a story that I've told over the years a few times, and it's quite a funny story. And when you tell it in football, people sometimes don't believe you. How can that happen? But there was no rules. There wasn't many player managers around at that time. I think Paul Ince was one. I think he was doing it, but there wasn't many around, so there wasn't no rule for that really. What is the rule for that? At the end of the day, I was sent to stand by as a manager, but not as a player. So that's why I put myself on. Well, was Richard's idea, to be fair, but I thought it was a good idea, to be honest.
The referee was probably looking for the perfect time to give you another red as well.
Yeah, imagine that, getting sent off twice. It's crazy, wasn't it?
The next 2 seasons, you led us to 12th and 11th place finishes. The best, obviously, in our history still.
Yeah.
The next season, though, obviously wasn't quite the same, and you ended up handing in your resignation as manager. What exactly changed in those? I know it's quite broad because it's the 3 seasons, but what exactly changed over those 3 seasons?
I just think finance, really. I think the club, the league become bigger and bigger and harder to deal with, and I think that's why we've done so well. And I think when we lost a few players, we sold a few players, and we didn't really replace them players, the likes of Paul Shores and stuff like that. We didn't really replace them, and I think Paul was struggling financially in terms of trying to keep up. So in the end, I think the inevitable was going to happen. And I had a conversation with Paul. I remember going to Crewe, and they beat us quite comfortably. And he just said, "Look, you're not looking. He thought I looked unwell. To be fair, I had a conversation with the family, and I think it was taking its toll on me with my health as well, because he was so determined to carry on doing well each year. But that year was becoming harder, and perhaps at that time I just felt it perhaps needed a new voice to think about changing our fortunes and us being able to stay up. And I had a playing contract at the time, and so I had a conversation. We was all honest with each other, and I think it just become too much for me. And in the end, that's what I did. I don't regret that, but I just felt it was the right thing to do for the football club. And at that time, he needed a different voice to try and change things around. But because of the finances and because of the league was getting harder, you've only got to look at the Championship now. Each year, it was always going to get harder. And finances were going to catch up on you, and that was the case.
Obviously, as you say, you did still remain a player for the Gills. But I'm pretty sure you were offered a role on the board after you handed in your resignation as a manager.
Yeah, I didn't accept that, but I didn't really want to do that. I just wanted to. I still had a playing contract, and do you know what? I just felt I still could contribute playing.
Yeah.
Whether that be at Gillingham for the new manager, it was always going to be difficult, or go elsewhere and carry on playing elsewhere. The pressures of being managers off my shoulders. I'm still fit. I could perhaps go around and I knew it would be difficult to play for Gillingham again because of the situation. Because Gillingham was in my blood. Whoever came in, I wanted them to do well, and I would never cause a problem. And it was always maybe it was going to be a problem for the manager because I'd been the manager as well. But I just thought, well, listen, I can still contribute as a player. Let's see what happens, and we'll go from there.
You made a loan move in January to Hull, didn't you?
Yeah.
And you got promoted with them. But obviously we were relegated from the division they got promoted to.
Yeah, it's another strange story, and a story I tell that I think what happened was that obviously Peter came in and spoke to me and said, look, it's always going to be a difficult situation for you to stay there and play because of being the ex-manager. He said, look, we could do with your experience here. Come and play for us. We're going for the Championship. We're going to get promoted. And I can't guarantee you're going to play every game because of the age you are. And And I understood that. And so, I went up to Hull for 3 months, and it was good. It was good. The pressure was off. They were going for promotion. We got promoted. I played a few games and really enjoyed it. And I remember getting promoted. I think it was the week before. For the last game of the season, we got promoted. I remember going around the ground. Obviously, we finished the home game. We won. We got promoted and celebrated. And there's like a 93-day ruling on the loan system.
Yeah.
And my 93 days was up. So my 93 days were up. I had to go back to Gillingham because I still had another year on my contract the year after.
Yeah.
So my 93 days are up. So I had to go back to Gills. So I remember going back to Gillingham and then back training, and then we played Nottingham Forest on the Saturday, and we had to win, didn't we? And they put me in the squad. Stan put me in the squad, and I was in the squad. I was on the bench. I was on the bench for the Forest game, and so one week, and unfortunately, we didn't win the game, and I can't remember who scored it. Lobbed Jason Brown, didn't they? Was it 1-0 the game? It was.
Yeah.
Forest 1-0. Yeah, Jason Brown got lobbed, but it's one of those. It was a bittersweet really, because sweet the week before and bitter the week after. To go up and then see my club go down, and and obviously I was part of that. Because I'd been there. It was a tough day to take really, because we didn't want to go down, but I always deep down thought that could happen because of the way the game was changing and the way the finances was changing, and we become a small team really in a big division, and like I said, it caught up with us in the end.
Yeah, and obviously, am I right in thinking that Hull was the last time you linked up with Peter Taylor as in your playing career?
Yes, it was. Yeah, that was the last time I linked up with him as in playing wise. Yeah, and like I say, so it was sweet one week and better the week after, and it was tough, but we had a great time in the Championship, but you've only got to look at the Championship now, how tough it would be. Could you see Gillingham in the Championship? And you could, but financially we're a long way off from being able to compete in that division, I believe. I
think the years gone by, you've seen sides, I'd say even smaller clubs than Gillingham enter the Championship. You've seen Burton Albion, Yeovil, and they're just not able to compete. And I think we would fit into that bracket.
Yeah, and you just mentioned the club there that is in the National League now, Yeovil. So we're a big club who was playing Leeds a few years ago. So that just shows that you can definitely fall down the ladder. Fortunately, Gills haven't. I think Gills are in a division that they should be in. Personally, they're not a League 2 club. I think they are a League 1 club at the moment, and that's me being honest. And I think if Paul was on the line now, I think he'd say the same. I think he's been trying to get investors to the football club to push the club on, and that's what it needs. It needs a bigger investor to come in alongside Paul, or Paul leave perhaps, and somebody else comes and takes the club over that can actually get them back to the Championship. But at present, I think Gillingham are in the league they should be in.
Obviously, talking about managers and stuff, the current manager at Gillingham, you obviously had quite a famous falling out with on the touchline.
Stevie, Stevie. I've known Steve for a long time. We've had a few rows, and we played Crawley away. He'll tell you the story. Whether he tells you the same as me, he probably won't. But listen, he had words on the line, like a lot of managers do. And he wants to win a game of football. I want to win Boxing Day at Crawley, and we won the game. And he said a few words to me. I said a few words to him, and I got arrested. But he got arrested after the game, and then it was we had a meeting with the Kent Police on the Monday. And it was all dropped. Steve dropped everything. And listen, it was a heat of the moment stuff. I get on well with him. As much as people say we had the row, I'm certainly a person that doesn't hold grudges with anybody.
Yeah.
I'm not that type of person. I don't think he is as well. He'll have a rowdy on the line, but you can have a drink with him afterwards. And he's a character, and I think that's what Gillingham need. So I actually get on well with Stephen and Paulie's assistant, Paul Rayner. So, I've got a lot of respect for him, and I know he's got a lot of respect for me. And listen, at the end of the day, we're in football business, and we're trying to win football matches, and you're going to say things to each other, and as long as you can get on with it and forget about it like I can, then for me that's the best way to be.
He obviously turned into quite a pantomime villain after that incident with yourself, because obviously you are a Gillingham legend, held in such high regard, and Gillingham fans didn't, and some still don't like him, but now a lot of people are behind him, and he's carrying us the right way.
Yeah, he's pushing it the right way now, and he wants a pantomime villain, and they give him a bit of stick. But listen, like I say, it's about winning football matches, organising them, and getting the fans on your side. If you're a player, you've got to go and perform on the pitch week in, week out, and you get the fans on your side. And I did that as a player, and that's what you have to do as a manager. You've got to get your team performing and getting results, because that's you're the manager. And Stevie, they're on a great run at the moment. It's all been disrupted because of this unfortunate situation. He's putting his stamp on the club now, and he's doing very well.
Obviously, back to your playing days. The next season from your promotion and relegation was your last in the Gills shirt. But that season, you become the oldest player to ever represent the club at 40 years and 4 months of age.
Yeah.
That must have been some achievement. Did you think when you first joined Gillingham, age 30, you would still be playing for the club 10 years later?
No, I didn't, to be honest. Not as long as that. I thought I could play for a fair while because I was able to keep up my fitness levels. I think that because you came into the game quite late, you appreciate it more, you want it more, and you want to keep playing as long as you can. And I was, as I say, fortunate with injuries. I didn't have too many other than the bad knee, the cut I had against Bournemouth, to put me out for a while. But I'd probably envisaged playing until I was about 37. But to go beyond that was phenomenal, really. And again, it was just that desire to carry on playing and doing that extra bit to keep yourself fit. And it was a great achievement to do that. And then I obviously went off. I left Gills and then went off to finish my playing career really at a professional level at Barnet, didn't I? So I had 18 months there and enjoyed my time there, to be honest.
As I say, like you come into professional football when you was 26, and obviously you've left it in your 40s. So realistically, you've had still the career span in football as maybe someone that would have had their whole career in the Football League.
Yeah, that's right. Some players, get in when they're, so if you started as a professional at 20, which you'd be looking to do, or maybe a little bit younger, but, say 20, and then if 14 years, and beyond that, really, slightly beyond that, it's the same as somebody coming into it, at that younger age. So, I achieved a full career, really, I suppose, as you say. I did come in at 26, and so I've got no regrets at all. I think the only one mistake slightly I made was perhaps being a little bit too hasty when I left Watford. But listen, I wouldn't have had the career I had at Gillingham if I hadn't done that. So I've been pleased with my playing career and a managerial career to manage in the Championship. My hometown club, and as you said, finishing the 11th, which is the highest in the club's history, and probably will be for a while. I've been proud of sort of my achievements, really.
In 2006, you did return for one last time in a Gillingham strip, as you had your testimonial. Yet again, banging the same drum, not something we see nowadays, really. That must have been an emotional day for you. It was a very deserved testimonial.
Yeah, it was great, to be fair. I had the whole family behind me, and put a little committee together, did a few events during the year, and then had the game at the end of it. And it was an emotional time. And thanks to Alan Pardew and West Ham, and like I said, Teddy was playing, and the players that were playing in that was phenomenal for me. I think it was 8,000 there, like just over 8,000. So it was a great turnout and a real family day for me, and lots of memories. And great that, like you say, you don't see it so much now, but because players don't stay at clubs for that long, do they now? But I think I can look back at my time and say, thank the club for letting me have a testimonial as well, and a great day all around, really.
Yeah, it's not something I can imagine seeing in the years to come at Gillingham or any other professional team, really. The only ones I can think of in modern football that have happened are maybe Mark Noble and Tony Hibbert, obviously West Ham and Everton.
Yeah, a couple of obviously the Man U's have done it, haven't they? I've been there for a while, and had their testimonials. So it just doesn't seem to be the thing now, does it? Players staying at a club for that long anymore, and players move on. They get chances. As you say, Mark Noble's probably the exception at the moment. A lot of Premiership boys they go on to play abroad, don't they, as well now? So you don't see it so much now.
You did slightly touch on it on one of your previous answers, but I would like to discuss your managerial career.
Yep.
Obviously, you went to Dover.
Yep.
That was your first. I believe you were still playing whilst you were managing at Dover.
Yes, I played. I left when I left Barnet because I was having problems with my calves then. I felt perhaps it was time to call it a day playing, really. But I did say that if I went to another club, not a professional club, but perhaps a non-league club, then I could turn out still as a player if need be, and that's what I did. It was funny because before I went to Barnet, I had a letter from Jim Parmenter about becoming their manager, and I sent him a letter back to say, Jim, at this present time, I'm looking to carry on playing. I've been offered a chance to go and play for Barnet and help them, so that's what I'm going to do. And so then when I left Barnet, then he called me again and he invited me down to come and meet him to be the manager then. And I met him and the directors, and they sold it to me really that they was in a real dire situation, as in the Ryman South, going nowhere, and they needed to climb the tables. It was a real challenge. And it's funny because it's another story where I go back to speak to people that I trust in football, and so I phoned Peter Taylor, I phoned John Steele. And to be fair to Peter, he said, don't do it. Peter said to me, don't do it. He said, you've managed in the Championship. You've managed in, a real good level. And, if you go there, Ryman South, and it goes wrong, then if you're looking to get back into higher and bigger things, then that could go against you. And I went against Pete, to be fair. I just think, maybe I was meeting the chairman and maybe that design. I thought that it's going to challenge that we could get them up the pyramid because of the players and what you've worked with, and you might be able to get some out of league clubs, and that's what we did. And we were fortunate. I went down there, took over, and carried on playing for a bit as well. And we won the Ryman South quite comfortably. We emulated that the year after, won the Ryman Premier League, and then we were in the Conference South, and we unfortunately lost in the playoffs in the Conference South against Woking, but. Yeah, it was good. It was a good time there, and we got them out the doldrums really because, as I say, they were in a really tough place as a club, and we got the crowds back, and we were getting 1,400 in the end. So it was a good time there, and enjoyed my time there.
It wasn't long though until you came back to your spiritual home. Gillingham came calling. How on earth did that move come about?
I just got a call from Paul, would you come back? It was a real tough one to make a decision, but I think if it hadn't been Gillingham, I don't think I would have done it. I think I would have stayed where I am. I stayed at Dover because I felt that we had something going at Dover, and we could get, the aim was to get him in the Football League, and the ambitious chairman he is, and we had them 2 promotions, and then we just lost in the playoffs, and I knew that we could go again the year after and perhaps get promoted, and then you're in the top flight non-league. But because it was Paul, a real good friend of mine, family friend, and we know each other so well, and it was a case of he pestered me, come on, opportunity to get back managing the league again. And so I did find it difficult. I just went and spoke to Jim and Jim Barmer, and I said, look, I want to go back to Gills, and he didn't make it hard for me, Jim. I didn't think it went down very well with the fans, but he didn't make it hard for me, and I ended up going back there because it was Gillingham. People say you should never go back. I don't regret going back, even though it was a tough time there the second time around. I don't regret going back at all, and but that's how it came about, really. It was just because it was Paul and he kept pestering me, I decided to do it.
Your tenure lasted 2 seasons, and we came so close in both of those seasons to achieving a playoff spot. I think it was 1 point both seasons.
Yeah. I think it was 1 point on the other one. The other season was goal difference, I think.
That was it.
I think it was goal difference on 1 point. I think the other one, yeah. It was tough.
A real shame, really. But obviously, during your time back in charge, we did host Dover in the FA Cup. And as you say, the fans didn't take the news of you leaving too well, despite all of your successes with the club. They beat us. That must have been really difficult to take because you took a lot of stick that day.
Yeah, took a lot of stick. That happens in football. You sort of getting pats on the back, and it's great when that happens. But you also got to take the out of it, and it was a tough time for me. But I was a strong character as a player, and nothing was. I was always going to be able to handle a situation like that. And as much as it is tough and you don't like it, you have to handle the situation. And I did do that. But that year was tough. Yeah, we got beat. It was written in the stars a little bit. Adam Birchall's well, who I signed, believe it or not, for Dover, and then obviously I signed him for Gillingham in the end anyway. But it was one of those times. I don't regret going back. I think we was really unlucky, like you said, finishing just outside the playoffs, one on goal difference and one on just 1 point. But that losing in the FA Cup was tough to take. Our fans, Gillingham fans, weren't happy, obviously, and there was a lot being said. And my family took a little bit of stick. My boy took a bit of stick. My daughter took a bit of stick, being at university. So it weren't just me. My family were as well, which was unfair. But that's football. Unfortunately, it happens, and you have to deal with it. And we dealt with it. I thought my son and daughter dealt with it excellently. But they're the tough times, and like I say, you have to be strong, and I was, and we got through that situation. And I was disappointed when I did get the sack, to be honest. When Paul decided to make the change, I was disappointed because I had another year left on the contract, and I felt that we were that close that year to doing something. I felt that we could do something a year after, and but unfortunately, he wanted to make a change and bring mine in.
Yeah, as you say, we did make that change, and your contract was terminated in 2012, but you was instead offered a football development role. How big of a change was it for you from you've gone from player manager, back to player, and then to a manager, and now you're in a complete new role? Yeah,
it was like director of football, really, but I didn't really settle into the role at all. I mean, I had the unenvious job of actually. As much as I did it, because again, got too much respect for Paul. I actually sat and met Martin Allen to interview him. Really, we went to a pub. I met Martin. We had a chat, and I had to report back to Paul what I thought of Martin, and would he be the right man for the job? And then I got him in. We got him in as a group, and in the end, we all decided Martin was the right man for my job. Really, so it was a strange situation, but. Again, because of the love of the club and the love of the friendship I've got with Paul Scally, that's the person I am. I want to make sure the club was right as much as I was hurting, and I really wanted to still be the manager. I felt this year could be the year, but Paul wanted to make the change, and I respected that because of who he is. And so it was tough because obviously we brought mine in, but listen, it turned out to be the right decision. They got promoted. As much as there's quite a lot of my players there, he had some very good players, experienced players. Adam Barrett's in this world coming into the club, and to name a few. And I think they had the year that perhaps I wanted, and they got promotion. But listen, I was just over the moon that they bounced. They got their promotion and got out of the division. I didn't last long in the role because I just felt that it wasn't for me, and that's why I moved on, to be honest.
Yeah, as you say, we did win the League 2 title that season. You left your football development role, and you just can't keep away from Gillingham, can you? Yeah, you come back as assistant manager a year later to, of course, Peter Taylor. How has it been a part of his coaching team once again after so many years, and obviously coming back to Gillingham in that coaching role again?
Yeah, it was a strange situation, but again, Pete just asked me to come back, get involved, and at the time I was doing a bit of coaching locally, and he said, look, get back to where you belong and come and help me here. So again, no brainer really. When Peter asked, or like I said, when Paul asked it as well, and Paul said, look, yeah, get him back, and so that's what I did, and listen, and I enjoyed it. It was great to come back again, but people would say I was getting nicknamed the boomerang. I was going and coming back all the time, but it was quite funny. But yeah, it was good to be back.
You did last, obviously, quite a while in your assistant manager role, but we unfortunately see the last of you at Gillingham when you, Steve Lovell, Mark Patterson, and also Darren Hare were all placed on temporary charge. You got some good results as a quartet, to be fair, and you steadied the ship before the arrival of Justin Edinburgh.
Justin, yeah, no, we did. It was good. We sort of, me and Steve and Darren, Pato, we sort of all put our heads together, and I think we're just a case of let's try and improve the performances, get the boy in and get some results. And like I say, steadied the ship really before Justin came in. And I think the chairman, I've got to say, the chairman was, because what we did, I think he was in two minds whether to make the change or just keep it as it was. But I think deep down it was the right thing to do, because you can only have one man at the helm really, and that's what he did with Justin, and got Justin in, and I stayed for a bit as he means his number two. But I always felt that Justin wanted his own man in as well, so stayed for a bit, and then obviously I had an opportunity to go to Orient with Ian Hendon, so and then Justin brought his own man in, so I think that was what he really wanted to do, and I had my opportunity to go and work at Orient with Ian.
Yeah, that was the last we've seen of you at Gillingham. Obviously, you say you went on to Orient. You went there as an assistant manager, ended up as the gaffer. Yeah. I'm trying to remember the owner's name, the Italian fella. Bichetti.
Yeah.
A bit of a madman, if I remember rightly. I remember seeing a clip of you getting
it was the right club at the wrong time. Right club because it's a great club. The wrong time because he had the wrong owners.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it. Yes, I had an occasion with him kicking me, and that was just crazy situation. Never known anything like it in football.
What happened with the kick thing?
He was just we were playing Portsmouth. We won the game, but the game was a bit, it was a tight game. Paul Cook was the manager of Portsmouth at the time, and second half he decided to come and sit behind the dugout. I think he might have been drinking, probably was drinking. We won the game. It was two guys giving Ian a bit of stick, like in his ear all the time. I made the sort of ear gesture to them to say, look, you're not sort of having a go now, type of thing.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, as I've turned, I started getting kicked. To turn around, it was the chairman. I went to throw a punch because I had to protect myself, and then Paul Cook, to be fair to Paul Cook, he went, SES, leave it, it's not worth it. And Cookie thought he was a fan, and I said, it's the chairman. And he started laughing, Cookie, and then the chairman ran off. He kept running off, and then one ran a pitch, and was basically having a go at them, winding up the Portsmouth fans. We won the game as well. I think it was 3-2 we won. It was like just a crazy day, really. And lots of press, lots of Sky Sports News that used to say it was banter and stuff like that. But listen, I had the police on me all week to try and take it further. But he was the chairman. I was never going to do that. I just wanted to get on with football, and and that's what I did. And but yeah, craziest time I've got to say that's probably the craziest time I've ever had in football in terms of the club. Like I say, great club, great fans, but wrong time for me really because of the owner there.
You've definitely had some crazy and unbelievable moments in your career. After Leyton Orient, you were then manager at Eastleigh.
Yeah, went as assistant to Rich, obviously, who I had back in the day, Championship days, so he asked me to come in and do a bit of work with them, and then Rich decided to move upstairs, but then ultimately he got a job at Sunderland with Stuart Donald, who took over Sunderland from Eastleigh, and then they asked me to take over at Eastleigh as manager, yeah, so, and I really enjoyed it there. Great professional club, full-time there, but then, as I say, we was on a good run last year at the start, and then got a call back from Jim. Would I come back because they're in a bit of having some problems.
Yeah.
I 7 points from 15 games, and would I come and change the club around, become professional, and go full time? And it was a real good challenge. I was back close to home, and to be fair, they were excellent. They said, look, go and talk and have a chat with them, and that's what I did, and and we've carried it on from there. Really, we finished on a fantastic run, stayed up comfortably, and it was a good year last year in the end.
Obviously, from the outside looking in, a lot of people would have criticised you for moving from Eastleigh to Dover because of the difference in league position between the two. But as you said, for you it made sense. You were closer to home. Dover is a project for you, where obviously you've been before. Last season you achieved the great escape really there. But this season's been a little bit more comfortable for you, sitting in 12th, only for coronavirus to halt the season.
We've been on a good run, and then we had a little bit of a slip up, and then, but we've still, obviously then the virus has turned up, and it's pretty much finished our season really. It's pretty much going to be that it's going to finish. It's just how they finish it, whether it's null and void or done on points per game, or they've got to decide, hopefully quickly how they're going to finish the season for everybody. But yeah, it was a shame because we had to do 4 points out of the playoffs with 8 games left, so, and we had a game in hand, so we wasn't out of it ourselves. If we finish on a good run like we did last year, we could have got in that sort of playoff place as well. So it's been a bit frustrating what's gone on, but everybody else is in the same boat, and let's hope we can get through this safely. The virus that we're in. Yeah,
the trouble is no one really knows what is going to happen with the league position and how it's going to happen. And
no, I think it's a not knowing really. I think as I say, non-league's already been cancelled from 3 to 6. I think from 1 to 3, our league, Conference South, Conference North, they're pretty much saying it's finished. But it's how they finish it. They've got to vote on that. But I think League 2, League 1, Championship, and the Premiership, I think for the integrity of football, I think they really need to try and finish it if they can. But it all depends on this curve and how quickly we can get over this virus. The quicker we can, the quicker football will come back, I think.
That is the end of my questions, but I do have some fan questions written down from Twitter if you have the time for them. So we've got some fan questions from Twitter for you.
No worries.
At Dean McBeano asked, do you ever see yourself coming back to Gillingham?
I wouldn't have thought so. The only way I see myself coming back to Gills one day, maybe on a scouting role type of thing,
Yeah.
Going out doing some scouting, something like that. That'd be the only capacity I believe now that's perhaps left for me. If not a kit man, perhaps.
Kit man. When Malcolm eventually gives it up.
Yeah.
Liam Stanley has asked, who's the most talented player you've played with, and then the most talented player you've coached?
Good question, that. Most talented player. I would say probably. I would probably say at the time at Watford, it would have been we had Paul Furlong came to us at that time from Chelsea. He was exceptional. Him and Kevin Phillips, and Kevin come out non-league. The goal scoring, goals that they scored, I would say probably them two really in terms of played with, coached. I would say again that's a tricky one. There's some good players over the time. I would say Paul Shaw, believe it or not.
Paul Shaw,
yeah, at Gills, yeah. Watching him in training every day and playing with him. Just his cleverness as a player. That I've coached. I would say he was easy to coach because he did things so easy, without even thinking about it, Paul. I would say Paul, to be honest.
At Naylor94 and also Lee Clifton asked, how did you find the transition from being a player amongst mates to then becoming the manager? We touched on this earlier, but obviously if you want to add something.
Yeah, like I said earlier on, I think just because of the group of players that I'd played with, I thought it was going to be a lot harder than what it was, but because they were such a good bunch of lads, and we all respected each other, they made the transition so much easier for me. And like I say, we touched on it earlier with that first initial managers meeting with the players, where the likes of Pennant, Barry Ashby, Paul Smith all sort of grinning at the back of the room. I think they just summed them up, and it made it a lot easier for me. So, yeah, I found it quite easy in the end, but a lot easier than I thought. But again, that comes down to the players.
Sticking with your managerial role, Chris Rainbow has asked, which spell did you enjoy most as manager?
Championship, 100%. As in the Championship, perhaps because there wasn't so much pressure on us then, but we could go out there and perform, and to finish 11th in the table, as I say, making history for the club was credit to all the players, staff that year to be able to achieve that, because as I say, each year was getting harder and harder. So yeah, it has to be that year. Yes, I've had some promotions with Dover. But that year, the years in the Championships was definitely the best for me as a manager.
Ben Pye has asked, what's your favourite match you've ever played in? Has to be Wigan, surely.
Yeah, that's because we won. Yeah, the Man City was because we lost the game at the end. Was only the real downside of that, but obviously it was massive. But yeah, Wigan's the biggest because again, being the home of football and winning this time, it has to be that. FA Cup ties that I've played in, we're up there. But yeah, it'll be the Wigan game. Yeah, definitely. Ben
Pike's question has set something off in my mind about maybe one of your favourite matches you've managed. Would it have been Gillingham 5, Hereford 4, or did you find that a nightmare to manage?
I remember that game was crazy, yeah. No, it was a nightmare to manage, I've got to say. I nearly had a heart attack in that game. It was just so ebbed and flowed, didn't it? And it was a phenomenal game. But, it was one of those, you just didn't know what was going to happen next. We've all been involved in games like that, but to actually to win the game the way we did was unbelievable. And Paolo, I remember Paolo. I still speak to Paolo Gazzaniga now. I'm obviously he's got his move to Tottenham now, and we brought him into the club. But he was tremendous that night in that game. I remember him, doing so well. And us winning the game. So yeah, no, it was a crazy game that night.
Hereford must have been sick of the sight of us that year, because obviously 5-4 at Priestfield, and then the reverse fixture was a 6-1 thumping at their place. Yeah,
they were. They didn't like playing us, did they? So it was certainly we were their bogey team, and it was good to be involved in them games. Another game I enjoyed playing, be a manager in, was the Arsenal game in the FA Cup, where we got it back to 2-2. That was a good game to be involved in, and I was subbed that day. I remember bringing myself on, and Well, we got it back to 2-2, and then I turned to my right and then saw Henry and Perez getting their tops off to come on, and so it just shows you what the boys had done. They forced the manager, Arsene Wenger, to bring on some of the big guns, and in the end we lost 5-2. But that was a good game to be involved in.
Yeah, it shows how much of a challenge we were, that they had to bring on world-class players such as them.
Exactly.
Back to the questions. Mr. John Seeger asked, with hindsight, do you think you should have stepped down after the Stoke game at the end of the 03-04 season?
03-04. Didn't I step down after that, or was that another? What game was?
I thought that was the one you stepped down from, but that's the question John has asked, so I'm assuming it must be a different one.
Right. I thought it was, because I remember the Crew game, didn't I? And then
and then the Stoke.
And then I went and spoke to the chairman. So
was it something?
I'm not sure about that question, to be honest.
Was it something in particular about that Stoke match that confirmed it for you that you had to go and step down?
Oh, was it the Stoke game away? What was the question again? Crew or Stoke?
John asked, with hindsight, do you think you should have stepped down after the Stoke game at the end of the 03-04 season?
Oh, yeah, I get where he's coming from. Yeah, where we stayed up on the last game of the season.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. We needed to get a point there. I get his point. No, I don't think in hindsight, because it was getting tougher. It was getting tougher, and it could have been one of those. Yes, if I thought it was getting tougher, is it going to get any easier the year after? And I get his point, because obviously it could have been that a new manager comes in then at the start of the new season, and gets a clean start. Whereas I started the season after, and then it didn't work out. And then that's when I stepped down after Crew. But no, I don't think so, because I thought that we done so well to stay up. I think it was. Can we get better? Can we get better? Even though deep down I thought it was going to be difficult. But so no, not in hindsight. Really, I was pleased we achieved what we achieved that year.
ML Shelton has asked, was there a particular player you wanted to sign and was really confident they was going to come, and then they didn't?
Jamie Curran.
Jamie Curran?
Yeah. Back in the time, we thought we had him in the office, and unfortunately it fell through and we didn't get him. So Jamie was one. I think there was another player, I'm trying to think, Dave Kitson as well.
Dave Kitson?
Yeah, we had Dave Kitson in there in the office, and I think he ended up signing for Reading in the end. Yeah, that was the year he signed for Reading. He didn't sign for us, but we had him in the office and very close. It come down to money in the end. So them two really, two strikers.
And the final fan question I have for you is another one from Dean McVino, and he asks, who is the better player, you or Jake?
Jake was the better technically player. I was the better at the other side of the game. That's a tough one to ask, really. I'd say Jake, better player than me.
Did you struggle, trying to manage Jake? Was it an issue for you?
Not really. I didn't really manage it. I was coaching when I at the time.
Of course, yeah.
I was more of his manager. So no, not really. Jake's a real strong character, and he's very determined, very very much like myself. So he was mentally strong as well. He had nothing really fazed him. He knew it was always going to be difficult trying to live off the back of me being there, and he did come under. We got a little bit of criticism, and there's a lot of cynics in this world that say that he's there because I was there, but that wasn't the case. And he done well for himself in terms of having to deal with that situation. So in a way, I'm proud of him. I'm proud of what he's doing. He's playing. He's up at Grimsby now, and he's making a name for himself up there. He's doing well. So but no, in terms of obviously I didn't manage him, but I coached him. But he was his own person really, and he knew that. Listen, I had a massive effect on Gillingham Football Club, but he did as well because he was part of the family. So, but I was proud of him how he dealt with certain situations.
Andy, absolutely brilliant. Thank you very much. Everyone,
worries,
thank you very much for listening.
No problem.
And up the Gills.
Yeah, up the Gills. Hopefully you can finish the season with this virus and then go again next season.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Cheers, mate. Thanks.